Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my Prabhuji. Mr. Prabhu. Atul Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna, can you hear me out?
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Before we start, I just like to tell you a detail. There
There
is
is
some
some
issue with
issue with
our
our
microphone.
microphone.
So
So
when
when
I'm
I'm
speaking
speaking
to
to
you,
you,
you can
can
hear
hear
them
them
like
like
very
very
loudly.
loudly. Hearing.
Same is the case
Same is
when
the
you
case
speak.
when you speak.
But
But
amongst us,
amongst us,
it's all
it's
echoing.
all echoing.
So
So
I found a
I found
solution
a
to this
solution to this
problem.
problem.
Like when
Like
you are
when you are
speaking,
speaking,
the
the
microphone is
microphone
on.
is on.
But when
But
they
when they
start
start
speaking,
speaking,
I will
I
turn
will turn
off your
off your
microphone
microphone.
Okay.
so
So
that
that
everybody can
everybody can
hear
hear
without
without
echo.
echo.
Okay.
And
And
as you
as you
start
start
speaking,
speaking,
I will
I
turn
will
it
turn it
on.
on.
Okay.
I will
I will
manage the
manage the
microphone,
microphone,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Is it
Is it
fine,
fine,
Prabhuji?
Prabhuji?
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
So
So
today
today
I would
I
like
would
to
like to
take the
take the
opportunity
opportunity
to
to
introduce
introduce
Atul
Atul
Krishna
Krsna
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
I
I
for a,
for a,
just for
just for
okay, Hare Krishna. Now visible. Oh, sorry, audible, right? It's okay, right? Good. So yeah, it was my like great fortune that I got this opportunity to introduce Atul Krishna Prabhu. He like came into contact with in Australia in 1985, and from there, you see, like most of us have done ISKCON Disciples course. How many of you have done ISKCON Disciples course? Okay. Okay, and I'm pretty sure there are devotees who haven't turned their microphones on, audio on, sorry, video on. I'm nervous. So the person, like you have done this IDC, the person who designed it is Atul Krishna Prabhu. And that's not the only one. This Bhakti Sastri course, this curriculum which we are following from MI, again designed by Prabhu. You can see his name right in the front. Like if you see the first page, the second page, his name is there. And that's what Prabhu's one of the fortes is, that he like designs courses for entire ISKCON, that's education, even the certification that's called Board of Examination. Prabhu is the chairman of ISKCON's Board of Examination. So these are some of the services Prabhu is doing. He's teaching since 2000 and he's preaching extensively in Bangladesh. That's why he's very fluent in Bangla. Okay, you must have noticed that is like quoting of Chaitanya Chaitamrita verses. And Prabhu is actually living like he's a Vanaprastha, practicing Vanaprastha, one of the very few in ISKCON. So Prabhu is like staying in Mayapur here. I'm like staying very close to where Prabhu is staying. So we know that the kind of austere life Prabhu leads. And one of the things like last 15 years, whatever I've learned in ISKCON, a large chunk of that goes to Atul Krishna Prabhu. He's my teacher. So I just wanted to let's introduce. That won't take much time. And those devotees, some devotees were asking me Atul Krishna Prabhu yesterday, like playing the ukulele. I said, yeah, I also saw it for the first time. I didn't know. I only saw Prabhu to play mridanga and harmonium. That's what it is. Over to you, Prabhuji. Over to you.
Well, this is you're discussing about Jukta Vairagya, so this is Jukta Vairagya in action here. Can you hear that?
Yes,
yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Okay. Let's sing a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Shuddha Bhakata. You know that song? You put it on the screen if you like. Shuddha Bhakata Chadana Dainu Bhajana Anukula Shema Padama Siddhi Prema Lotika Damula Madhav Titi Bhakti Janani Jatane Palan Kori Krishna Bhashati Bhashati Boli Padama Adade Bori Gaudamada Jeshabashtani Karla Brahmana Range Sheshabashtan Hedibo Ami Pranai Bhagata Shange Mridanga Bada Shunite Mon Abhashada Shada Jache Goda Bihita Kirtana Shani Parma Adonache Anande Didoyanache Shirabhakata Chadana Denu Bhajana Anukula Paramananda Hoya Prashad Sheva Kodite Hon Shakala Prapancha Jaya Paramananda Hoya Jadin Grihe Bhajana Dekhe Grihe De Goloka Bhaya Chodana Shid to Deki Gonga Shukana Shima Paya Tulashi Deki Judaya Prana Madhapato Shani Jani Prashad Sheva Kodite Hoi Shakala Prapancha Jaya Gauda Priya Shaka Shebane Jibana Sharta Kamani Vinod Krishna bhajane jatane Bhakti Vinod Krishna bhajane Anukulla paya jaha Prati divashe pada Padi divashe Paramashoke Shrikade Kodoyeta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajagacharya Shtatara Sudasri Samad Shala Abhay Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai ISKCON Pratishthat Acharya Shri Prabhupada ki jai Ananta Kori Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai Shamavedya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastai Bhutale Shamad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Prajane Nivashashashanadi Pashtade Shatarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhupada Sri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Shri Gau Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Brinda Bhakti Brinda. What can you tell us about Raganuga Bhakti? Raganuga Bhakti, who can explain something? Raganuga Bhakti. Oh, that's Krishna Priya, isn't it? Okay, let's take Mehak Molani. Tell us about Raganuga Bhakti.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Raguna
Raguna
Bhakti
Bhakti
this who
this who
follow
follows
church.
church.
Raghunath
Raghunath
makes
makes
bhaktas.
bhaktas. Raganmika Bhaktas. Following the Radhagatma Bhaktikas. Good, yes. What about Jai Tulashi Devi Dashi? What can you tell us about Raganuga Bhakti?
Bhakti
Form
by
by
following
following
Radha
the
Bhakta
Bhakta
from
from
Vrindavana.
Vrindavana.
Yes.
And associate Krishna. Good, yeah. Good, okay. Raki.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji, it
Prabhuji,
is
it is
bhakti
Bhakti which
in
in
which we
which we
follow the
follow the
footsteps of
footsteps of
bhakt,
Bhakt
devotional
devotional
service, which
service, which
is
is
like
like
Vrindavan
Vrindavan
or
or
like
like
Mata
Mata
Yashoda,
Yashoda,
the
the
gopis
gopis,
and the
and the
cowherd
cowherd
boys.
boys. Okay. Now, what else can you say? We heard that, I think we heard that about 3 times. We follow the Ragatmikas in Vrindavan. What else can you tell us about Raganuga Bhakti, some of our enlightened participants?
Hare Krishna. When
When
we come at of spontaneous devotional services, we perform like services, like regular and all.
Yeah, good. Okay, now, okay, let's share the screen, show you a few things. Yeah, well, we were discussing a few things yesterday. We were discussing about sadhana bhakti in general and 5 particular recommended activities Rupa Goswami recommends. We were discussing how Varnashram, Dharma, Jnana and Vairagya are not mentioned in the 64 items of sadhana. And so therefore we need to be clear on that. We're only using those things in support of sadhana bhakti. And without the practice of sadhana bhakti or Krishna consciousness, even at the stage of practice, those things are they're not actually going to be useful in our ultimate path to perfection. Presented an overview of the process of Raganuga Bhakti. Well, we said that. Yeah. Now, what about how can you recognize a Raganuga Bhakta? That's a good question. How can you recognize a Raganuga Bhakta? Hands up. How can you recognize? Yeah, okay, Jiraki.
Yes, Prabhuji, when the devotional service performed like a mother as Yashoda Mata does. So then we call the rag.
So my question was, how can you recognize a person on the platform of Ragmarg? How can you recognize? And think about that before you answer. How can you recognize the practitioner of the Ragmarg Bhakti? Yes.
He's complete from material condition.
Well, that's a symptom. That's a qualification. But my question was, how can you recognize? I mean, what are the symptoms of the Raga Marg Bhakta? How do you see when you recognize? Oh, there's a Rag Marg Bhakta. How can you recognize? We're not asking the qualification for practicing, which is what Tulsi gave us. We're asking, how do you recognize the Raga Marg practitioner? How do you reckon? How can you? How can you recognize? What are the observable characteristics? So what's the answer to this question? How can you recognize the Rag Marg Bhakta? Any hands up?
Devotees are given the responses in the chat box.
They're what?
Giving the response in the chat box.
Okay, where's the chat box? Where's the chat box? Chat. Okay, well, that's what they are, but that's not intense. These are all wise activities. Wise activities. His activities. Yeah, well, what are his activities? How do you recognize by his activities? What activities are you looking for that you'll be able to recognize? Here's a Rag Marg Bhakta. By his activities. What activities can you recognize the Rag Marg Bhakta by? Dancing, crying, singing loudly. Well, that's what we do every day in the temple. Okay, the answer is that you can't recognize. And because they practice the same external activities as the Vaidhi Marg Bhaktas. So there you go. You can't recognize. It's an internal thing, and then they look just like everybody else. And whether they're on that platform or not, no one knows except them. So that's the Rag Marg, a little bit about Raganuga Bhakti. Okay, now tonight, love of God. Love of God. So Srila Rupa Goswami, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada describes it as a summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, a summary study. And it's a little different from other books in that it doesn't go through the content with the verses, with the Sanskrit verses and the word for word like Prabhupada has given in the Bhagavatam and in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Ishopanishad and in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is a summary study. So that means that Prabhupada's discussing verses of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He's just discussing them, writing paragraph, and then, you need to kind of like recognize where Prabhupada is discussing a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and sometimes paraphrasing. Now, this book, Nectar of Devotion, it was written by Prabhupada, I think 1968, 1969. It was published around that time. Prabhupada came to the United States of America. He went to the United States of America, and in 1965, and he had with him the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that he personally had translated and edited and printed, and he was distributing personally. That's the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when he arrived in New York, he began working on his translation of Bhagavad Gita as it is. And he worked on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, that was published, and then he wrote the Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya in 1968, and then he wrote the Nectar of Devotion, and then he wrote the Krishna book, and then he wrote the second canto. So all of these books, Nectar of Devotion and Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Krishna book, they're all before Prabhupada carried on with the Bhagavatam. And so Prabhupada was considering this book very important. As we have been mentioning on several occasions, it is the complete science of Bhakti Yoga, and it's a very technical treatise, actually. I mean, we're just looking in the first 20 chapters, but it goes on and it goes into great detail on all the mellows of loving God, the different rasas and examples of them from the Bhagavatam, and it's a very scientific, and Prabhupada says a complete science, and a very scientific book, very analytical book, all in categories and categorized, and there's different subcategories and everything. It's amazing when you look at the contents of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Prabhupada, he wrote it in the style of, like he just wrote English, he just wrote a summary study of that. So let's take a look at some of the verses from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Sanskrit. We'll look at some of these verses and we'll see how Prabhupada is explaining them, integrating them in his commentary. So here, this is chapter 17, Srila Rupa Goswami, he's first of all describing Bhava Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, the Lord's internal potency, Samvid and Ladini, internal potencies, they descend into the devotee's heart. It's a very specific description here. That there is, Prabhupada comments, Prabhupada explains this. Someone like to read?
The attachment is very confidentially kept by Krishna and is bestowed only upon pure devotees. Even ordinary devotees cannot have such pure attachment for Krishna.
You remember the 6 characteristics, chapter 1? Yeah. Now, 2 of those characteristics manifest at sadhana stage. You remember that? And 4 of them manifest at Bhava stage and 6 at Prema. So what were the 4 at Bhava stage? Can you remember that? Chapter 1, 4 characteristics. Who can tell us? The first 4 characteristics, they're all manifest at this stage, Bhava. Yes, Krishna Priya Sri Radha Devi Dasi.
Klesha Agni, Shabda, Moksha Lagu Dakrit, and that rarely achieved. It's
What's that? You remember the Sanskrit for that?
Sudurlabha.
Sudulabha. So that's what Prabhupada is this was being explained here. That this is not something that you can say like, it's not necessarily, it has to be Krishna personally bestowing. Krishna, the internal potency, the Lord personally manifesting in the heart of the devotee. It's a specific platform that one attains. And Krishna actually, he enters into the heart of the devotee, internal potency, and then there's the manifestations of love of God. The beginning of love, it's the beginning of Prema, actually. The beginning of Prema. Bhava is called the big, we'll see a little later. So, therefore it's Sudulabha. Krishna has to personally agree. And why is it Sudulabha? You can remember we were discussing in characteristics. Why is it rarely achieved? Why is this so rare? It's even more rare than mukti. It's more rare than mukti. In other words, Krishna gives liberation from birth and death more easily than he gives Bhava Bhakti. And why is that? Why is it so rare? Why does Krishna rarely bestow this? Maybe in the chat, no?
Yeah, it is in the chat.
Yeah, that's the reason. That's the reason, Roshni, because Krishna becomes control. He becomes the property of the Bhava Bhakta. In that chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu is describing how rare is the bhakta. He says, Dharmachari modde bahut karma nishta. Most people who are religious, he's explaining, Dharmachari modde bahut karma nishta. Most of them are interested in, getting something back. Karma nishta. At least they have the karma nishta. They have faith that if I go to the temple or if I do some bhakti, I'll get something. They're called karma nishta. They're dharmachari, but they're karma nishta. Bahut karma nishta. Dharmachari modde bahut karma nishta, Mahaprabhu says. Koti karma nishta modde agyani shashta. Out of 10 million such religious or pious people, agyani shashta, there's one gyani, a person who actually understands that the purpose of life is not just getting good prosperity and getting happiness from God, but it's actually overcoming the repeated birth and deaths. So dharmachari modde agyani shashta. Koti gyani modde hoyekchon mukta. He says that out of 10 million gyanis, actually one person is actually liberated. Koti Gyani Modde Hoyek Jan Mukta. Koti Mukta Modde. And then out of 10 million liberated persons, Dula Bet Krishna Bhakta. It's rare to find a devotee of Krishna, a pure devotee of Krishna. Even out of 10 million liberated souls, actual Mukta Purusha, it's rare to find a devotee of Krishna. So, once again, what Prabhupada has given the world, what he's given us in this practice of Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name, becoming a follower of Rupa Goswami, such a rare thing, and it's just given out freely. Even we weren't actually looking for Krishna consciousness. I wasn't looking for Krishna consciousness. I was reclaimed by the devotees, by the followers of Srila Prabhupada, and by the servants of Srila Prabhupada. They came to my city. In fact, Prabhupada came to the city I was born in, Melbourne, Australia, and he opened a temple, Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir, and he installed Gaur Nitai. And sitting on Bhyasasan, he sat and he said, after installing the deities, you can see the lecture, he said, the people of Melbourne have become fortunate because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared here. So what Prabhupada has given us, we weren't looking for Krishna consciousness, and not that we were ready, and if without Prabhupada coming to this planet or without this movement, we would have become Krishna conscious anyway. No way whatsoever. I mean, we were reclaimed, and our interest in serving Krishna was awakened by Prabhupada's mercy, by Prabhupada's association. And it is, what an amazing thing. It is such a rare thing. Koti Gyani Modde Hoyek Jan Mukta. Koti Mukta Modde, out of 10 million liberated souls. Dula Bet Krishna Bhakta. It's rare to find a devotee of Krishna, and Prabhupada just given us such a treasure in Krishna consciousness. So Bhava, he goes on to explain that it is the Shurangsha. It is Prem Shurangsha. It is the beginning of Prema. It's the beginning of Prema. So, in other words, once you've attained the platform of Bhava, then you're going to awaken Prema. Like if you keep practicing, it won't take so long. It seems to take a little bit longer to get from sadhana to Bhava, but from Bhava to Prema, it seems to it's kind of already up and running. The Bhava is the beginning of Prema. Just like the sun rays and the sunshine. And Prabhupada, he paraphrases, ecstasy, that's Bhava, is the first symptom of pure love, Prema, for the personality of Godhead. Ecstasy is the first symptom of Prema. And so we're looking at a few characteristics here. The first characteristic is that Krishna personally bestows Bhava upon the Bhakta, and it's very rare. And the second characteristic is that it's the first ray of Prema. And the third characteristic here is that the chitta mashrinya, the heart becomes soft. One sometimes found shedding tears or shivering. So therefore there's these symptoms of the emotions. Because the heart is soft, and the transformations of ecstasy and love of God, the bikar, the sadbikar, astabikar, they manifest because the heart is very soft. Like Mahaprabhu, when Mahaprabhu would hear the kirtan, describes in Shantipur, Mahaprabhu, he had taken sannyas, and then Nityananda Prabhu, out of kindness for the devotees, he brought Mahaprabhu back to Shantipur for 10 days before going to Puri. They were performing kirtan in the house of Advaita Acharya in Shantipur, and Kaviraj Goswami, he describes those kirtans, Kirtan Kodite Prabhu Sharva Bhav Udoy. Kirtan Kodite Prabhu Sharva Bhav Udoy. When the kirtan would begin, Sharva Bhav Udoy, all of the symptoms of love would udoy, they would all erupt in the body of the Lord. So just when the kirtan would begin. Stamba, Kampa, Pulakasru, Gadgara Pralai. Stamba, he would become like a pillar. Stamba, Kampa. It'd be quivering like the autumn leaf. Stamba, Kampa, Pulakasru. His body would erupt in horripilations like a ripe jackfruit. Stamba, Kampa, Pulakasru, Gadgara. His throat would choke up. Gadgara Pralai. That's devastation. The symptom of devastation in the kirtan was that, devastation. So it's not that Mahaprabhu like, now let's make a show, I'm in ecstasy, hey, I'm in ecstasy. No, he couldn't restrain these symptoms. This quivering, the crying, the becoming stunned, becoming all of these symptoms. So these are all a result of the heart becoming so soft. So here's a little bit of a summary. Okay, the Lord's personal antaranga, samvid, ladani shakti, it appears, it descends into the heart of the devotee. It's the first onset of prema, and the heart becomes soft. This is in the definition of Bhava Bhakti that Rupa Goswami gives. Any question? Prabhupada explains. Like to read? Someone can read.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Everyone can attend that Bhav stage. There is a process. This process is described by Rupa Goswami how to come to the Bhav stage. Bhav stage means just prior to perfection. One must come to the Bhav stage. Next stage is perfection. Next stage is full perfection.
There is a process. So what's the process?
May I,
May I,
Prabhu?
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji,
nine
nine
stages of devotional service like Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Vajan, Kriya, Nartha, Nivritti, Nishtha, Asakti, Ruchi, Bhav, Prem. Like these are stages, and we process is like we perform sadhana, 64 limbs of bhakti for attaining this stage.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, Adoshada, that's the stages. That's not like their stages. The process is a little different. Process means what you're doing. The there are 8 steps you achieve, but the process is sadhana. The process is sadhana. That's it. That's the whole thing here. That's why it's the next chapter. That's why it's the next chapter. You practice the sadhana, 64 items. You practice the sadhana. And you keep practicing the sadhana, and that's it. Sadhan bhakti hoite hoi roti udoy. Mahaprabhu says it in one line in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 19. Sadhan bhakti hoite hoi roti udoy. Roti is another name of Bhava, actually. Roti. So roti udoy, you practice the sadhana, then there's eruption. There will be the awakening of the feelings of the bhav, of the feelings, of the emotion, love. It's mentioned in something just like we were discussing last night about Mahaprabhu. We were discussing about Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is Bhakti Rupa. Although he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's showing his own example. He's showing his own example. So he goes and he does the sadhana. He takes initiation. He does sadhu sangha. That's one of the 5 most important ones. Sadhu sangha. In fact, when he sees Srila Ishwar Puri, he says that Tomar dek leo matro koti pitrigon sheikh hone sharva bonda pai vimochon. It's like such an amazing verse. He says that because he's going there to Gaya to do the Shraddha, and it's all about Varnashram Dharma and some karma. It's a karma kanda actually, the Shraddha and all that. And then he says that Tomar Dekleye Matro, just seeing you. Koti Pitrigon, 10 million forefathers, Sheikh Hone, at that moment of seeing you, Sharda Bahonda Paivimochon, they're delivered from all bondage just by seeing you. Just by seeing you. So Mahaprabhu, he went there on the plea of doing like karma kanda, but he did Bhagavad Bhakti, he did Sadhu Sangha, and then actually he took Diksha, that's another of the 64 items, and then he did Bhakta Sheva, that's Guru Padasraya, Guru Shebaya, Diksha. They're the first three items. Guru. What's the first item of the 64?
Taking service.
Guru Padasraya. Take shelter of the lotus. The next item, Guru Padasraya, Diksha, Guru Rashabaya. You take shelter, you take initiation, you serve the spiritual master. So Mahaprabhu did all those. Prabhupada said those first three are very important. Mahaprabhu did all those, and he did others. Then he did the japa, he did the kirtan. Jopadi, Jompadi, Mantra, Korele Pago. Kiva Mantra, Dilo Gosha, Kipatar Bol, Jopadi, Jopadi, Mantra, Korele Pago. So he's showing in his own, I'm chanting the mantra, I'm doing the sadhana, and now I've become mad. Jopadi, Jopadi, Mantra, Korele Pago. That means sadhan bhakti hoti ho roti you die. You practice the 64 items, and then there's a eruption, there's awakening of the feelings. Mahaprabhu said, I've gone mad. That means that I become emotionally, it's out of control. I just can't forget Krishna. I become like a madman for Krishna. So that's the stage that we attain by practicing the sadhana bhakti. And now, if you can you remember the definition of sadhana that Rupa Goswami gave? Can anyone maybe just find that, read that for us? You studied this, the definition of sadhana bhakti. Want to find that? Either Prabhupada's translation or the Sanskrit, whatever you studied. Why don't you find that and share it with us? Definition of sadhana. Who can find that? Who can tell us?
Actions of the senses produce a state of Bhava called sadhana.
That's it. Right there So it's right there in the definition of sadhana. It says it's meant to produce bhava. Right? Meant to produce bhava. It's not that, this is something that, way down the track, a lifetime after life it'll take, No, you can achieve it very quickly, especially if you know what the purpose of the sadhana is. And the purpose of the sadhana is, it's meant to awaken the feelings of love. And that's those feelings of love, that's what will take you to Krishna at the time of death. That's what bhakti means. Bhaktyamam abhijanati avanyashashmi tattvada. I can be achieved by bhakti and nothing else. Krishna says. That's it. Because the love that you've awakened by the practice, if you have real love, there's a real attachment. Real attachment for Krishna. That means you have desire. You want to see the Lord. You want to go to the temple. You want to take the beads. You want to chant the holy name. You want to glorify the Lord. These desires become stronger and stronger. In Gita also Krishna says, Abhyasha yoga juktena mamich chaptam dhananjaya. That's 12th chapter. In Gita. We studied Gita, Bhima Prasad.
Prabhuji, they have gone only through the first 6 chapters. After this, they will be doing the 7 to 12 by Yadunandan Maharaj.
So you jump straight into nectar devotion after 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita.
No. Nectar of instruction.
Also, you went right for the Roshik Goswami Grantha. You couldn't wait. It's because Bhima Prasad is such a Roshik Bhakta. He just dives straight into the nectar of devotion. Couldn't wait. He's so merciful. He couldn't let you wait any longer. So anyway, you get to the 12th chapter, and then there's these different stages that Krishna says. If you can't think of me all the time, then practice sadhana. Mamich chaptam, and he says, Ata chitam samatatam na shakdati mayistiram. If you're unable to think of me all the time without deviation, abhyasha yoga juktena. Abhyasha yoga, then you have to practice sadhana, bowing down, chanting the mantras, completing your rounds, offering the bhoga, chanting the prayers, bowing down when you see the Vaishnava, being at the arati, seeing the Lord, going on the prikrama, all of these practical activities. We're performing these activities, and sometimes the mind is like miles away. Well, at least it is for me. Maybe because you're all exalted Paramhansha Vaishnavs, you just like, you're all constantly, it's all nectar for you. But for me, sometimes, even I'm paying obeisances and I'm just not thinking anything about the mantra I'm chanting. I'm just lying down there, it's nothing. Or you go rounds and rounds and rounds and you think, well, where's the holy name gone? You're just in your whole universe of your thoughts. But even that will still contribute to the awakening bhava. Even because the Krishna is hearing and you're using your tongue. It says mind and senses. Because the mind is the most powerful thing. But if you remember what the purpose of the sadhana is, the purpose is to awaken the feeling, especially when you're chanting. When we chant, we take the beads and we're just thinking about finishing the round. Right? We're starting over. And after all, maybe I'm halfway through. Let me check. Yeah, about halfway through. Oh, I could be 3/4 of the way through now. Getting closer. Or maybe it's only 10 malas left. Maybe it's only 10 mantras left. You're 10, 9, 8. I must be getting to that end bead soon. End bead soon. Yeah, there it is. Finished another round. Okay. So it's called completing your rounds. We call that completing your rounds. Just want to get to the end of the mala. And we start again. We just do that, get the 16 of them done. But actually, rather than worrying about completing the mala, if we actually try to love Krishna when we're chanting the japa. Chant the japa with devotion. That this is for Krishna's pleasure. Yatra gayanti madbhakta tatra tishtami narada. Krishna himself says that where the devotee is calling my name, yatra gayanti madbhakta, where he's glorifying me, tatra tishtami narada, I appear there. So you meditate like that this is the sound of Krishna, I'm hearing Krishna, this is the end of that, this is it. You don't need to do anything else, actually. That's it. That's Krishna consciousness. That's perfect bhakti yoga. Just hearing the name, and that's it. Just hearing the name. You don't even need to think about things when you're chanting. You just need to hear. And don't worry about finishing the round. You just absorb yourself in hearing and just try to develop love. Just love for Krishna when you're chanting the holy name. And pray to Krishna for that, to fulfill that desire. And pray whenever you get an opportunity, or you pray to Krishna, let me develop love for you. Let me love you, awaken love for you. You have to have that desire. Know what the goal is and be focused on that and meditate on that. Become absorbed in that. You can become obsessed. Become obsessed. That's desiring love for Krishna. And that's the sadhana practice is. I've been doing all of these things to reunite with Krishna and show my love for Krishna. And that's the way to practice sadhana in an effective way. And in this way, the bhava can be quickly awakened. And even we may not, technically speaking, we may not actually have the full thing, but it's gradual. It's not that, that's it. One day I woke up, bhava bhakta hoigiche. No, it's like the attachment, the love, it comes and you'll feel, and it will grow and grow and grow. The more you avoid offenses and keep chanting the holy name and doing everything else, serving the day just gets stronger and stronger. Yeah, so there you go. How to come. First of all, just the sadhana practice is there. Prabhupada's encouraging us. Okay, now Rupa Goswami goes on to explain that there's two ways. So what we've been talking about up to this point is the sadhana. And sadhana, that means that you practice Vaidhi, sadhana bhakti, and then you practice Raganuga bhakti also. And you develop affection in a particular mood, like that of a resident of Vrindavan. And the bhava will awaken it. That's the general way. That's the recommended way. That's the way that Rupa Goswami has outlined in this book. And generally Prabhupada is discussing in this way. However, it can be attained just by mercy also. It can be attained by mercy. In other words, that means that you may not be practicing sadhana, but you can still get bhava. By the mercy of the Lord directly or by the mercy of his devotee, he can bestow that upon you. But this is a rare thing. Now, can you think of examples? The assembly of learned scholars that I'm fortunate to take association of on this auspicious final evening of the Kartik month. Assembly of learned scholars. Can you give some examples of someone getting the direct mercy and awakening bhava, as found in our scriptures?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Narad
Narad
Muni.
Muni.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an example. Narad Muni is a good example that he got the bhava of the Bhaktivedantas. Of course, he did, sadhu sangha and he did bhakti seva, but it's more that they just bestowed it upon him as a good example. Other examples?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj, well, he did hearing. He heard from Narad Muni in the womb. That's generally how he credits that he heard from Narad Muni as hearing, as sadhana, but you could possibly. Other suggestions?
There in the
There in the
chat.
Chat. Shiv Shankar. Parikit Maharaj? No. Parikit Maharaj, how can you say? Parikit Maharaj, classic example of sadhana. Parikit Maharaj, a classic example. Shravan. As he did Shravan, you get the perfection by heart by Shravan. Parikit Maharaj is Shravan, hearing. That's Parikit Maharaj, hearing.
The
In fact,
womb of
he's given his
Mirabai. Mirabai.
Yeah. Dhruva Maharaj? No, Dhruva Maharaj did Guru Padasraya. Dhruva Maharaj did mantra. Dhruva Maharaj did archana. Dhruva Maharaj did the sadhana, and he awakened the Bhava. Now here's an example, so I can let's reel you in from all of this speculative guessing. Here's an example. When Mahaprabhu was, he was revealing himself as Supreme Lord. Actually, those are stages where we were talking about how he was like a pundit, like Nimai Pandit, he was a great scholar. And then he got mercy of Ishwar Puri and took initiation, and he followed the sadhana, and then he lost interest entirely in the scholarship and just began chanting with the association of the devotees. It went on for about a year or two. And then there was the threat of the Nawab that, anyone who's chanting on the streets, I'm going to take away their ethnic identity and all this. And the devotees were upset or in anxiety, and Srivas Thakur was worshipping Nrsimhadev in his temple. And Mahaprabhu came there and he kicked on the door. Kaha puja kocho, kaha dhyan. Who are you worshipping? Who are you meditating on? He's kicking on the door. Mahaprabhu's calling out. Jaha puja kocho deko vidyaman. The one you're worshipping, look, present here. Srivas Thakur opens the door. Oh, he sees Mahaprabhu. Deki biroshane boshiyachin bishamba shankar chakra gada padma. He's holding the four symbols of Lord Vishnu. He displayed himself as Supreme Personality of Godhead. As in the house of Srivas Thakur, first kind of like official, he said, call all of your family. And they all came, and Mahaprabhu, he says, worship me, glorify me. And they were worshipping Mahaprabhu. It was like very official revelation of his position as God, which he hadn't done before in a public way. He'd done it to individuals here and there, but not in a public way like that. And then he said, don't worry, when there's Nawab, I will bewilder him. I'll go there. I'll make all of the wild animals in the forest, the tigers, the elephants, the rhinoceros. I'll make them all roll on the ground in the king's court in love of God, cry in ecstasy. And he says, Srivas Thakur, do you doubt that I can do that? And then Srivas Thakur is like, he's completely speechless. And then Mahaprabhu turns to his niece of Srivas Thakur. Her name was Narayani. She later became the mother of Srila Vrindavan Thakur, the authorized biographer of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who compiled Chaitanya Bhagavat. We visited his birthplace a few days ago, Kartik Navadev Parikrama. And he says to the niece, she's 4 years old, Narayan, she's a 4-year-old girl. So she hasn't done like sadhana. I mean, she's not doing worship of the deity. She's not going to the temple, chanting japa, taking initiation, all of this stuff. She's a 4-year-old girl, like a little child, a little baby, little infant. And he says, chant Hare Krishna, Narayan. She falls on the ground, love of God. Prema, she's rolling her tears incessantly, erupting, pouring from her eyes, erupting symptoms of love of God. Prema, just like that. Mahaprabhu just bestowed it upon her. He's glanced upon it. So there's an example mercy, that not practicing sadhana, just completely just like unexpected, boom, Mahaprabhu bestows that mercy. I mean, it's like. So Prabhupada's commenting in this connection. Please read.
Elevation to that stage by this special mercy of Krishna, or as his devotee, is very rare. The purport is that one should execute devotional service rigidly in the association of devotees, so that there will be certainly in raising oneself in that artistic position.
In this connection, Prabhupada would give an example of Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore, he's a famous Bengali poet. I think Nobel laureate, right? You're the Nobel laureate, and he got the Nobel Prize of Literature. And he got he was awarded a degree from Oxford University. The poetry of Rabindranath Tagore is very beautiful. I remember His Holiness Bhakti Nittolila Pravishta Shila Bhakti Charu Shami Maharaj, I heard in lectures, he would quote Rabindranath Tagore, Rabindra Sangit, he would quote. And he said, before I was a devotee, I was a great follower of Rabindranath Tagore. He would quote the songs in his lectures sometimes. So he was very, very, very poetic, Rabindranath Tagore, very famous, one of the most famous Bengalis in the modern, Rabindranath Tagore, of course, Prabhupada, he's like, a special category, but others are there, famous Bengalis, and Rabindranath Tagore. And they call him Tagore, actually, the name is Thakur, actually. Or Thakur, but it's like English, Tagore. So he got a degree from Oxford University. They just gave it to him because his poetry. They felt that he was like as good as a graduate poet from Oxford University. And he didn't even go to school, even Rabindranath Tagore. He was there in Prema Niketan. He has the residence, Prema Niketan, in West Bengal. And he was there. He was a Jamidar, a wealthy family. He didn't go to school. He just used to read the books, read poetry, and he wrote poetry. So anyone in this exalted assembly here that we are fortunate to be a part of this evening, any of you are eligible. All of you are actually eligible to get a degree, an honorary degree from Oxford University. Anyone can get. You start writing poetry, you see how it goes. Poetry, Prabhupada, did you know that Prabhupada wrote poetry? When he left did you know that? The Prabhupada mentions in the Lilamrita that Prabhupada, he dropped out of the college. He passed, he completed the studies of it's a Bachelor of Arts. Prabhupada got a Bachelor of Arts. He was doing Bachelor of Arts. Prabhupada studied English literature. He studied English literature and Sanskrit, politics, economics. It was an arts degree. But he didn't get the degree. And then after giving up the studies, Prabhupada was writing poetry in Kolkata before. And then Gaura Mohan Day, he arranged employment for Prabhupada as the manager of Kartik Bose Laboratory. Kartik Bose was the family doctor, the same doctor that recommended chicken broth when Prabhupada got typhoid when he was an infant, the same guy, Kartik Bose. And that Prabhupada was a business representative of Kartik Bose for about 10 years, and then he started his own business. So Prabhupada was writing poetry. Anyway, we're getting back. Anyone can get the degree from Oxford. But what's the likelihood of that? You go home, you can start writing your poems this evening if you like. The next few days, write a few poems, see how you go. You can put them on your Facebook page. Maybe someone from Oxford University will be so impressed that they'll contact you and offer you an honorary doctorate. It's possible. That's what happened with Rabindranath Tagore. That's what Prabhupada's saying here. But what's the likelihood of that? We've got some students of statistics here who can give us statistical perspective. What's the chances of that? What's the chances of that? So we shouldn't really think that, let me just go for the honorary degree style. If you really want the doctorate, you'd go and get enrolled in the college and go through the different years and take the lectures and have the tutor and all that. Not that you just, I want to get a degree, but I'll just write my poems at home and eventually, sooner or later they'll recognize me. It can happen. It has happened in the past. But generally we don't sort of go that route. We don't say, well, let me wait and just get the mercy of the Bhava. We have to, Prabhupada says here, the purport means that the message for us is that one should execute devotional service rigidly, sadhana bhakti. And there'll be certainty, then there's certainty. It's not certainty if you want to go for the mercy one. Maybe you get, maybe you won't. But if you practice the sadhana, then eventually it will be successful. So any questions up to this point? We're talking about what is Bhava, beginning of Prema, and we're talking about how to get it. Any questions? Okay. So let's take a look now at the symptoms of Bhava. That look like the symptoms of Bhava, how to recognize the Bhava Bhakta. Share screen. So please read. Someone can read.
In
connection with some
unscrupulous neophytes imitating the above
unscrupulous
system for cheap
neophytes.
adoration. Not only Vishwanath Chakravarti, but also Srila Rupa Goswami treats them very critically. Sometimes all the above 8 symptoms of ecstasy are imitated by mundane devotees.
So these are the Ashtasattvika Bhava. I mentioned a few of them, Mahaprabhu. There would be the crying, there would be the rolling on the ground, the choking up, the becoming stunned. These are symptoms of Bhava, but these are all actually, they can be imitated. This can be imitated, and that's sahajiya. Maybe this is also, they're imitating these symptoms, crying. And I as Bhima Prasad Prabhu mentioned, I preached in Bangladesh for many years, and we would see the professional kirtaniyas, professional kirtaniyas. Of course, that's Bangladesh, such a special place that even that you have such a thing, professional kirtaniyas. The rest of the world is so degraded that they don't even have professional kirtaniyas. But in Bangladesh, the professional kirtan, mridanga players and singers and the harmonium, and they travel around village to village and they do programs, nam yagya. And we'd be there, we'd be preaching, and the nam yagya, the kirtan dole would be performing. And we'd see, and you see, they were expert. They would be crying, they were rolling on the ground, the ecstasy, it's just like a performance. It's like a performance. They're crying the tears of love of God, and the common people, they are thinking the person's elevated in love of God. So they become cheap, these symptoms of crying and rolling on the ground, etc. So therefore, Rupa Goswami, he doesn't rely upon the Ashtasattvika Bhava to be able to recognize characteristics of Bhava Bhakti. Please read.
Rupa Goswami next describes the characteristics of a person who has actually developed his ecstatic love for Krishna. The characteristics are as follows.
And someone can read. We'll just go through. Okay, so Avyakta Kalatvam, mutilation of time, perseverance, detachment, pridelessness, hope against hope, complete eagerness, constant attraction to the chanting Hare Krishna, addiction to glorifying Krishna's qualities, love for living in the Dham. Amazing. So these are actual symptoms of a devotee that's awakened Bhava, and on the Bhava platform, these symptoms will be there. Can you think of examples of Srila Prabhupada demonstrating some of these symptoms? Give some examples of incidents when Prabhupada were demonstrating some of these characteristics.
Utilize time,
Can you elaborate a little more?
Yes, Prabhupada engaged his time in writing books, teaching, and he stayed very less on the few hours, utilizing his full time.
That's a good example. What are some other examples of some other items here that Prabhupada has incidents where he would be demonstrating?
Prabhuji, perseverance.
Yeah.
He tolerated many kind of situations which he were facing during preaching.
Actually, we just recently we developed a course. Bhima Prasad Prabhu, he mentioned ISKCON Disciples course. We developed a course there. We developed another course recently as an introduction, Prabhupada introductory course. There's 8 lessons. And the course is on this one book volume, Lilamrita 1 volume. And so the book is, the course is on that. Go through that. That's the handbook. You use that during the course. And I mean, Prabhupada, particularly in the beginning, as he faced so many obstacles. He faced obstacles from his family. His wife wasn't supportive of the mission. His sons were not supportive. They didn't help. One son, Vrindavan, he came on occasion. He came in Jhansi and spent time in Jhansi with Prabhupada. And he came to Delhi. Prabhupada was staying in the ashram of his godbrother, Bhakti Sastri Maharaj in Delhi in 1956. And his son, Vrindavan, came and spent time with him there and did service. But the rest of the family, they weren't supportive, so Prabhupada faced obstacles from his family. He faced obstacles from his contemporary, his godbrothers. He was not, you could say, encouraged and facilitated. Prabhupada had to, from his godbrothers. He faced obstacles from the government of India. In order to get paper to get back to Godhead, he had to write several letters just to get the paper in 1944. He was able to convince the officers to give the paper, and then he had shortage of funds. He had the reversals that were experienced in the Jhansi project. Prabhupada felt that actually this was the beginning of the vision of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. He felt Jhansi would be the headquarters and the beginning, and a big training center. And he was writing advertisements in the paper for brahmacharis. He wanted to train up 40 men and to send them abroad. This was all from Jhansi. Prabhupada, there was an empty building there called Radha Bhavan, which is a temple. Prabhupada wanted that temple, wanted to install deities there. All of this collapsed. Prabhupada carried on. And so many examples. On the boat, Jaladuta arriving in the US, his typewriter was stolen, his manuscript was stolen, so many obstacles, and Prabhupada carried on. What an example of perseverance. Some other examples? What about Shamutkanta, complete eagerness? Can you think of examples from Prabhupada's life? Complete eagerness. Complete eagerness. His Grace Rameshwar Prabhu was giving a presentation a couple of days ago here in Mayapur. It was the December book marathon inauguration ceremony. And Rameshwar Prabhu, who is a famous devotee from early days in ISKCON, he was leader of the book distribution in Los Angeles in the 1970s. He was head of the BBT and Prabhupada's agent for printing and all coordinating distribution of books. And Prabhupada said that Prabhupada had completed Chaitanya Charitamrita, but they hadn't started publishing that. And Prabhupada was asking, so usually they were doing a book in 4 months. Every 4 months they'd publish a book. And then, so Rameshwar, Prabhupada said, well, you have to increase. And Rameshwar said that, okay, Prabhupada, we can, this and that, and we'll arrange, we'll be able to complete a book every month. It's like 4 times more productive than previous. We'll be able to complete a book every month. And Prabhupada said, 17 books in 3 months. 17 books in 3 months. So is that an example of eagerness or not? 17 books in 3 months, Prabhupada said. Rameshwar said, well, we can do 1 book in 1 month. Prabhupada said 17 books in 3 months. And what was Rameshwar Prabhu's response? Who can say? What was Rameshwar Prabhu's response? Looks like you should take this course, Srila Prabhupada introductory course. Bimala Prasad Prabhu can teach online.
Prabhuji.
So Rameshwar Prabhu's response was that he said, Prabhupada, that's impossible. And what did Prabhupada say? You must know the response. No, you must know what Prabhupada said. Rameshwar said, that's impossible, Prabhupada. What did Prabhupada say? What did Prabhupada say?
Prabhuji, your mic is off.
No, it's not. No. What did Prabhupada say? Rameshwar said, Prabhupada, that's impossible. What did Prabhupada say?
Prabhuji, maybe I'm not sure, but Prabhupada maybe said that Krishna consciousness is difficult, but
Oh,
my
Krishna Priya, if you're not sure, then don't say. If you're not sure, don't say. Why would you say if you're not sure? Better to just wait. Why would you say if you're not sure? Prabhupada said impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. That's so interesting. It's so much describing Prabhupada's mood, his character, that there's no limit. There's nothing impossible. What Prabhupada did was impossible. It's amazing. Prabhupada, it's 1965 to 1977, 12 years. More preaching than had happened since Vyasadeva compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. Since the time of the beginning of the creation. Since the Satya Yuga. Where has there ever been such a rapid expansion of God consciousness on this planet? Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness all over the world in 12 years. There's no comparison. It's the impossible. So this is the movement of Srila Prabhupada. The impossible becomes possible. Katanchana shmade jasmin duskaram shukaram bhavet. By remembering the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even impossible things become possible. Duskaram shukaram bhavet. If you remember, Katanchanam Smrite Jasmin, by remembering him. Vismrite Viparitam Shad. If you forget him, then the opposite. Even easy things become difficult. So complete eagerness. And, chanting Hare Krishna, glorifying, attraction to chanting Hare Krishna, addiction to glorifying Krishna's qualities. Prabhupada, he'd go on the break, he'd take a break, a morning walk, we'd just talk about Krishna. Come back, sit with the devotees, talking about Krishna, writing the books, talking about Krishna, never stop. Satatam kirtayantamam. Satatam kirtayantamam. Constantly. What an example. Of course, living in the Dham, or Prabhupada, what a Dham basi. He lived in Vrindavan from 1958 to 1965. In Vrindavan Dham. And Vrindavan Dham was pretty austere in those days. You can imagine Vrindavan Dham 70 years ago. Imagine Vrindavan 70 years ago. I first went to Vrindavan 35 years ago. And there was nothing on the main road outside Krishna Balaram Mandir. Nothing. It was empty. And you'd walk out in front of the Krishna Balaram guest house, you walk out that gate, you turn around the corner, within a minute or two you're in the fields. When I was first going to Vrindavan. So how much growth has been in Vrindavan. And you can imagine, that was what it was like 30 years ago. Imagine what it was like 70 years ago. And Prabhupada was living in Vrindavan and writing Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's a letter you'll find on the desk in Prabhupada's room in Radha Damodar temple. And he's writing his letter, he's writing to his disciples, and he's saying how the Goswamis, they communicate to you here. Of course, they don't communicate to us, but they were communicating to Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, all their samadhis are there. And Prabhupada, what an attachment to living in the holy Dham. And Prabhupada has made Vrindavan famous all over the world. Tirtha Kurvanti Tirtani, just like we used to go and sit with Mahanidhi Swami. I remember a few decades ago sitting with Mahanidhi Swami in Radha Damodar temple for hours. We were chatting with him. No one was there. We're sitting on that veranda in front of Prabhupada's room, Mahavishnu, with Mahanidhi Swami for hours, and didn't see anyone in the temple. I mean, now there's a constant, that Prikrama in Radha Damodar temple, it never ends. It's constant. There's always hundreds of people. And Prabhupada's deity is there. Tirtha Kurvanti Tirtani. That Prabhupada, he's made Vrindavan a more purified place of pilgrimage by his presence there. He's made Vrindavan more glorious. That's talk about love for living in the holy Dham. Prabhupada he's given Vrindavan to the whole world. Okay, so these are some of the symptoms of the actual symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, and we just looked at examples of Prabhupada showing those symptoms. So any question? Rupa Goswami goes on now to talk about Rati Abhas. Rati is another word for Bhava, we mentioned. So Rati Abhas. It's a reflection. It means a reflection of Bhava, a reflection of Bhava, a reflection. So you may in association of the Bhava Bhakti, you may get some moments of moments of Bhava. You say moments of Bhava. Perhaps on the Vyasa Puja day or something, and you cry. Many times on the Vyasa Puja day, you cry, but the rest of the days, you're not crying. So sometimes. So it's not like you're on the platform of Bhava. Bhava platform means that you're always. Gosantav iti sarvato brajar pade kadai mahabibalo. What was that we say? That Goshantav iti sarvato brajar. No, what was that one? That Radha kunda tadekalinda. Premon madhavashara shesha dashaya grashto pramato sada. There never stops. Their madness, their wanderings, their feeling of separation. They're constantly on that platform, the Goswamis. But on occasion, sometimes, there may be a moment. Particularly in the association of a great Vaishnava, some tears will come to the eye. It's a moment. It's like a reflection of Bhava. So Prabhupada's talking about the Rupa Goswami is talking about it. It's an imitation. It's like a moment reflection. Please read. Prabhupada's explaining. Someone can read.
Sometimes it is found that a person actually attached to the material enjoyment of a celebration has the good fortune to the associate with pure devotees while they are engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord.
Even, they're not liberated, they're not free from anartha. They're not on the platform of anartha nibriti. They're on the lower platform of bhajana kriya or sadhusanga, like a very beginner. Or even they desire liberation. Sometimes they're very beginners. Sometimes someone comes to the temple and they cry, did they come to the temple? They're just like, it's so powerful experience for them. Or they meet a great Vaishnava. And at that moment has a big effect on their life, just at a moment, this association with a great Vaishnava. Whilst engaged in chanting, please read.
At that sympathy of devotees, the moon-like rays from their hearts reflects on him, and by the influence of the pure devotees, he he may show some likeness of attachment.
Yeah, isn't that, we see this a lot. We see this a lot. I mean, we see a lot in the movement. We see a lot of people that they come to the movement because they're just so inspired by a great preacher. It seems to me that a lot of people come to the movement because of that they're inspired by a great preacher, and oftentimes that great preacher may become their spiritual master in due course of time, but with such advanced devotees, and they're traveling and preaching, and one lecture or one meeting, and it's very inspirational. A lot of people, that's what convinces them to come to Krishna consciousness. In my case, I wouldn't exactly say that, but it was just that I was like, I got fortune of many devotees and got in a temple where many advanced devotees were, and I got an opportunity to do some seva. I was a student in the college, and the devotees asked for help to set up a preaching center in the college, a vegetarian club, and I just helped a little bit. Just went because I was a student there, I got arranged the club, as I became the president. We had a little room, and the devotees came once a week and distributed prasadam. So that really had a big effect on my life. After that, everything just like steamrolled, and very quickly we took to Krishna consciousness. So we did some seva. But oftentimes, that was because I was able to get association of a temple where there were many great Vaishnavas, and a temple that Prabhupada established, and there was a lot of Krishna conscious activities going on, so I was able to get some seva. But sometimes you're not near a temple, but a preacher will come, a devotees, and a preaching, and you meet the preacher, you meet a great Vaishnava, and it has a big effect on people's life. And you can get a taste, you can get a real awakening for Krishna consciousness. And those moments can keep you, the moments like this, where you have like that moment of feelings of love, that can sustain you for many years in Krishna consciousness and inspire you and to sustain you. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, what did he say in text number 5 of Upadeshamrita, which you are all learned scholars in? What did he say in text number 5 about advanced devotees? Yeah, what did he say about advanced devotees? Very good. Very good. Susasa bhajana vijnana nanda nindari shunya ipshitam shangalabdha. Ipshitam shangalabdha. Ipshitam, you should desire. Sangalabdha, to get their association. You should desire that. Not that, it comes, Krishna arranges. No, you have to go out of your way. You should desire, you should effort, you should try and go and get association of advanced devotees. Because it's very powerful. The moonlight rays from their hearts reflect on you, and you can become so inspired. Labhamatra shadu shanga sharashidhi hoy. Just a moment's association can give you such inspiration. We have a few experiences like that. It's a few brief instructions from great Vaishnavas had such an impact on my life. Like Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, famous preacher, and fortunately I was able to have shelter of Tamal Krishna Maharaj on many occasions. He would preach in Australia. I was there, and then I went to Bangladesh and I was preaching there, and I saw him in Malaysia just briefly. And he said, you received a special benediction coming through the Parampara to preach in Bangladesh. So wow, I never realized. But he was there when Prabhupada was telling Prabhupada Vishnu Bharnacharya to go and preach in Bangladesh. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there, so he knew the whole history. And that I had got a chance to go and preach there. He just in a moment, he kind of gave me a mission of life, life's mission. So how valuable is association with a great Vaishnava, especially Vaishnavas that are close to Prabhupada and done so much for Srila Prabhupada. They're rare. They can give us, like something that would take us years and years of study and research and effort to come to conclusion. They can just tell us in a moment. This is what Prabhupada wants you to do. Actually, he told me that. He said that you should forget about Australia, you go and stay in Bangladesh and do something there, and that'll be more pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. So it's very easy. You can change your whole life just from a moment's association with great Vaishnava. Okay, so that's Bhava Bhakti. So any questions? We're going to move on to Prema now. Any questions on Bhava? Let's just move right along here because we're so eager. You're already feeling the eagerness. Okay, let's talk about Prema. Please read. Someone like to read, please.
When that bhava softens, the heart completely becomes endued with a great feeling of possessiveness in relation to the Lord and become very much condensed and intensified. It is called prema, love of Godhead, by learned scholars.
Right, Sundarananda Visheshatma, and this intensified feelings of love of God, intensified feelings there at this stage. Prabhupada's carrying on. Please read.
He will not expose himself, but if you attend the stage of prema, then you will see him how you will see Sadeva, always. Not that for 2 minutes I see and Krishna is no more there. No, not like that. Prem Andhana Charit Bhakti Vilochanena Santah Sadhaiva. Sadhaiva means constant increasing, incessantly.
Yeah, so because that devotee, he's become an associate of the Lord. The Lord loves his association, so he sees the Lord. He's an associate of the Lord. The Prema Bhakta, he's like fully in love with the Lord, and he can see the Lord. Now, similarly, attaining Prema. So similarly with the Prema, it can be attained just by mercy or by coming from Bhava. A couple of diagrams here to explain this. So generally, you've done sadhana, and you've got the Bhava, and then that eventually that will mature into the Prema, or you can just get the mercy and get Prema, just like that. And those examples that we gave, they're relevant here also, like the example of Narayani, she got Prema, just like that on the spot. Now, Rupa Goswami, he now goes on to explain that there's 2 types of Prema. 2 types of Prema. I mentioned yesterday a verse, I said that, I quoted from Rushika. Goluke Kebolrati Asharjagan Hain Puri Dware Vaikunt Adde Asharjagan Praveen. That only in Vrindavan is the special love there where the devotees, they forget that Krishna is God. But in Dwarka, in Mathura, and in Vaikuntha, the devotees are always remembering that Krishna is the supreme God. So these are the 2 types of Prema actually. The Prema in Vrindavan and the Prema outside of Vrindavan. And Rupa Goswami is explaining them. He says that if you do Vaidhi sadhana without doing Raganuga, without actually conscientiously cultivating the attachment to Vrindavan and the associates of Vrindavan, if you're not doing that, but if you're doing everything else in Vaidhi, like Guru Padasraya, Tulasi Prikrama, and Mandir, Seva, all of those things, worshipping the deity, then you'll get Bhava, and then you'll get Prema, and you'll get the Prema, which is called Mahatma Gyan Prema, which is the Prema of Vaikuntha, where the devotees, they recognize that Krishna is God. Now, some of you may be familiar with Vaishnavism in South India, and there's a great Acharya and his movement there, Sri Ramanujacharya and Sri Sampradaya, and the temples of Sri Ramanujacharya in South India, and they are practicing this style of bhakti. They are like, for example, these temples, Sri Rangam, and there's Tirupati Balaji, and all the great Vaishnava, Sri Vaishnava temples in Kanchipuram, Varadaraj, the great, huge, you perhaps visited the Sri Vaishnava temples in South India. So they're worshipping their Lord Chatubhuj, Lord Narayan, like Varadaraj in Kanchi is Varadaraj, Chatubhuj, Lord Narayan. And in Sri Rangam, it's Lord Vishnu Shayan. He's lying down in Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu Vaikuntanath. And so this Sampradaya, the Sri Sampradaya, which is very famous in South India, they're actually following this line, and their goal is Vaikuntha. And they always have the consciousness that Lord Narayan is the Supreme Lord. Now, if you practice the Raganuga Bhakti, in other words, particularly cultivating attachment to Braj and the residents of Vrindavan, then you get the Bhava of the Vrindavan and the Vrindavan Prema, and that's called Kevo Prem, and that's what the Goswamis are giving us access to attain, the Vrindavan Prema, where one follows the footsteps of the eternal associates of Braj and serves Krishna in that mood. And that's called Kevo Prem. So any questions on that?
NoD is, almost no one has ever visited India. So, and then certainly they have absolutely no clue of, like what is South India, forget South India. The only times they have visited, probably a couple of devotees sitting here, they have visited Vrindavan or maybe once Mayapur. So they are totally ignorant of the basic difference between like why the bhakti system of that regulative things it would ever like it. The only thing they're like familiar with is like within their own area in Pakistan, this is like a hodgepodge thing is there. Something they cannot even just like the mention of the word Sahajiya. So it's exactly, I can tell you this exactly what goes on there in the name of Bhakti. And so now when you'll tell them what is actually Sahajiyasm, they will say, oh, that's every day we see it around us, is something like that. So that's actually a challenge.
Bima Prasad Prabhu, you have bestowed upon me a great treasure that I can spend some time and share something about Krishna consciousness, about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami's great epic work with these devotees from Pakistan. Well, how Lord Krishna will bestow his blessings upon me just for this short time that I've spent with these devotees. So thank you very much, Bima Prasad Prabhu, for giving me such treasure. Yeah, if I could help you in any way, of course, that will be a great credit for me, because Lord Krishna will become very pleased upon me if I do something to help the devotees in Pakistan. Lord Krishna is certainly bestowing so much mercy upon Bima Prasad Prabhu for organizing such a program. When you said that the people never even been to India, I mean, I'm shocked. Here am I, I'm Australian. And I know more about South India than you're from Indian background. Okay.
No, I have been there, but then the relationship in Pakistan, they really get a visa.
Yeah, I know the circumstances that they're dealing with there. I know it's very difficult. I mean, Bangladesh, I was in Bangladesh many years, so I know I mean, Pakistan's a different situation, a different league, you know, as far as at least in Bangladesh, it's Bengalis, it's Bengalis, you know. So it's a little different. It's a little more relaxed. Pakistan, yeah. And to think that we're studying Rupa Goswami, we're studying these things about, you know, Vaidhi sadhana and Raganuga sadhana is amazing. It's amazing. Literally, I'm stunned. Okay, so there it is. I mean, technical stuff, but basically you should be aware that it's not just like normal Vaishnavism, what Rupa Goswami and Prabhupada have given us. It's very rare. And we're spreading this movement all over the world, so it's extraordinary. It's such a phenomena that these things, these most high, most confidential, most it's esoteric, the Braja Prema and the Vrindavan Prema, and Prabhupada we're knocking on the people's doors and giving it to them. We're standing on the street corner and offering it to the people. Of course, doing that service is very glorious. If you can spread Krishna consciousness, to spread Prabhupada's books, if you can do that in Pakistan, you know, how dear Prabhupada, how much blessings you'll get from Srila Prabhupada. So we encourage you to carry on as best you can with the preaching in whatever way you can under those circumstances, and try your best to share Krishna consciousness with the people. Such a glorious thing. So let's have a look at a little bit of Prabhupada's giving a little bit of a consolation, a little bit of a summary here about what we've looked at over these chapters. He talks about this now. Someone like to read?
Although many processes for developing love of Godhead have been explained so far, Srila Rupa Goswami now gives us a general description of how one can best achieve such a high position. The beginning of ecstatic love of Godhead is basically faith.
So there's these steps, 8 steps. There's a more detailed treatise, text, scripture on these 8 steps called by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, called Madhurya Kadambini. If you're interested, you can get that book and read that book. It's a little bit more detailed explaining on these different 8 steps. Any question on these 8 steps, Shraddha to Prema?
कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है?
Okay, so the first few stages, they go a little more quickly. I mean, Shraddha means you have some faith in the Lord, in God, some idea of God. Can't you believe in God, you could say. And then Sadhu Sangha, you associate with Vaishnava, Sadhu Sangha. And then Bhajana Kriya. I mean, you do that, you come to the program, ISKCON, any program you do, you're already on the 3rd platform. If you stand in the kirtan and then you get more serious about the Bhajana Kriya, you may want to take initiation, and you regularly chant, read the books, practice sadhana bhakti, that's Bhajana Kriya. And then the anartha nivritti, they're all anartha, unwanted things. And gradually they all drop off in your life, and you lose your interest in all the mundane things, like spending hours on social media and chit chat and all that. You just lose interest in it. You just want to hear about Krishna and not hear about all this stuff. I mean, I have this Facebook account. I hardly go to it, and I hardly have any friends. I'll probably get a record for the least number of friends in the world. I think I have about 3 or 4. Just like, that's it, no more. And still, when I open the page, there's all this stuff. I don't know where it comes from. all this stuff comes on. I can't believe it. All this stuff just piles in, and like, where's it coming from? So after a while, you just don't want to have anything to do with all that. You don't want it. You just, like, these days, people, they're always on the phone. They're always online, on social media. It's like people don't realize what's happened to the society. We grew up, there was no such thing as internet when I was a young person. And nowadays, people are on social media all the time. They're addicted to it. It's just like, it's life. It's this accepted thing. The world has changed. Social environment has changed so much in a short period of time. People don't realize it changed so quickly. But it's kind of like a lot of it's unnecessary. A lot of it's called prajalpa. It's called unnecessary talks on news. Like news, like what's going on, just like people's gossip, and so that's something that we'll lose a taste for. And all the other things, sport. I mean, they play cricket in Pakistan, right? Cricket. Pakistan and India, Pakistan and Australia. There's cricket. You lose your taste for enjoying the cricket. It's like a waste of time. Prabhupada gave the example. One of his friends said, "Let's go to the cinema." Prabhupada said, "If you pay me $1,000, I won't go to the cinema." And we'd probably pay money for the Netflix or something. So you lose if you do the bhajana kriya, chanting, hearing, associating, all of these material attachments, they all evaporate in due course of time. They evaporate, and everything's spoiled. Just to let you know, your material life, your material enjoyment becomes spoiled. You can't enjoy it anymore. You have gyan. And you know that adyantavanta kuntaya anateshu ramate buddha. You studied that in 2nd chapter of Gita. You're all learned as scholars up to the 6th chapter. Adyantavanta kuntaya, adi anta has a beginning and an end. Adyantavanta kuntaya anateshu ramate buddha. So a learned person, they don't enjoy those things anymore. So this is the effect of bhajana kriya, that you'll lose your attachment to all these unnecessary things, and then you become more and more absorbed in Krishna. And nishta means that you're fixed. It means that you stick at it. It's not like a come and go thing, but you're prepared to stick it out for the decades and decades, and that's great. And then the other stages, they're a little more, take it a little slower perhaps. I mean, it can be quickly, but the ruchi, shakti, bhava, prema, they're the subsequent stages if you carry on with the chanting process and associating particularly the 5 items. Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Maturabha, Srimurti Dashadaya Seva. And you practice these activities, then you're surcharging yourself along these steps, and you'll make more and more spiritual advancement. Prabhupada's commenting. Someone like to read?
Only the most fortunate persons can achieve such success in life. Lord Shiva therefore tells Parvati, my dear Supreme Goddess, you may know from me that any person who has developed ecstasy of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who is always merged in transcendental bliss on account of this love cannot even perceive the material distress or happiness coming from the body or mind. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you are on mute.
So that concludes our presentation on Bhava and Prema. We won't be conducting another session tomorrow evening, although it's scheduled, but actually we completed everything up to chapter 19 this evening. So because you're such highly qualified students that Bhima Prasad Prabhu has given. So we've covered everything in a couple of lessons. So I won't be coming again tomorrow night. I'm also a little sick, so this will be the final session. So let's share some things that you found interesting or valuable for you from your study of Raganuga and Bhava and Prema Bhakti over this evening and last evening. I'd like to share with us something that you found particularly inspirational.
Prabhuji, before asking question, may I ask a question? From chapter 16, I have two questions.
Yeah.
One is, there is mentioned that this devotional service and conjugal love can be divided into two categories. One is indirect and the other is direct. So I want to know details about it. And the other question is, at the end of Prabhuji has written about the Pushti Marg. Can you elaborate on this too?
Direct and indirect. From what I recall, that's referring to Swakiya and Parakiya Ras. In other words, Krishna has the gopis in Vrindavan. That's the Parakiya Ras, and the Swakiya Ras is the married queens in Dwarka. So they're the two categories in the conjugal love, the Swakiya and the Parakiya. And then regarding the Pushti Marg, I don't have much information on the Pushti Marg. It's Bhava Sampradaya from what I can recall, so I don't know that much about that. But yeah, so no comment on that. So any other question on topics discussed this evening? So some things that you found interesting in your study of chapters 16 to 19, Nectar Devotion. Yes, Krishna Priya, Sri Radha, Devi Dasi.
Hi, Krishna Prabhuji. So the interesting thing which I found in these sessions was that uh, like personally came to know about the Raga Nuga Sadhana Bhakti, which I was not aware about. And the most important thing which touched actually my heart, that that we have to focus our sadhana bhakti, so that like our focus should be on to get that bhava bhakti, and in this way we should do our sadhana bhakti. Otherwise this is the actual purpose of sadhana bhakti. So that inspires me a lot. And also the examples which you showed to us, the 9 symptoms of that bhava stage, and the way you discussed, and the way we know, and we try to think about how Prabhupada uh, is showing these kinds of symptoms which we have never ever thought about it. So
A substantial learning for you during this session, Krishna Priya Sri Radha Devi Dasi. Others like to share something. Others like to share something you found valuable in the last couple of lessons.
yes, Prabhu. As I
Other
mentioned,
students.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, thank you, Krishna Priya. You shared something spectacular. Others like to share something valuable you got from these sessions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Jagat Pranam. It was all really valuable, like the Bhava Bhakti to Sadhana Bhakti to Bhav Bhakti and then Prema Bhakti. How to achieve that? I was like, it was really difficult for me to understand that could I reach that Bhava Bhakti. But now in your class, I have like it inspires me a lot that by doing the Sadhana Bhakti, yes, we can achieve the Bhav Bhakti and to the Prema Bhakti. We just try to do the sadhana bhakti. So it inspires me a lot that we should always do some effort.
You're inspired a lot, Rocky. That's great. Others like to share some things that were valuable for you from the sessions.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, yeah, in yesterday's class you shared like we have to practice loving Krishna and serving Krishna, because yet it is not
It is not net
for us,
for us because
It is
It is
dormant
dormant
right
right
for us, so we have to practice that. So it was
now.
very
Very
Yeah, it's very useful to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it. Yes, Barka Hotbani.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Um, the most inspiring point that like we studied yesterday was like the walking of a child, the natural capacity, and it actually gave a thought that okay, we have that natural capacity of learning Krishna. We just have to start practicing again and again and again. And these sessions have really inspired me to like read and read more and fuel my sadhana bhakti more, so that we can be a bit we can take one more step forward towards Krishna. So that was
That was
really
really
inspiring.
inspiring.
You're inspired to take one more step and more in your practice of Krishna consciousness, Barka. That's very encouraging. I'm glad to hear that. So thank you very much for your inspirational association in the last couple of days. I'm not usually doing online classes, but Bimal Prasad Prabhu, he has a Shakti that when he requests things from me, it's very difficult for me to refuse such a sincere Vaishnav. So I agreed, and it was very inspirational for me to see so many devotees there in such extraordinary and awkward circumstances, and so enthusiastic, so sincere in the practice of Krishna consciousness and the study of Srila Prabhupada's books. So it was inspirational for me to see and meet with you. And perhaps on another occasion we can meet again, perhaps for some topic or something. Maybe on occasion we can drop in if Bimal Prasad Prabhu is going to continue to bestow his mercy upon me, then maybe I'll get another chance to get some association with you and get further inspired. Thank you very much. So we can conclude with this comment from Srila Prabhupada. Someone like to read that?
The nectar of devotion will teach us how to turn the one switch that will immediately brighten everything, everywhere. One who does not know this method is missing the point of life.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji,
just wanted
just
to
wanted to on the
it's as you can see, like today, the attendance is also less than half because many devotees have got their exams that like their like their academic exams. Most of them like have this week they have their exams. So more than half of the students are not here, and I'm just finding it so not just embarrassing, very unfortunate for them that more than half the students couldn't take their direct association. However, all the devotees, as you can see, Prabhuji, I mean, they can speak for themselves. Uh, very much, like in need. Since I'm saying this is very gravely, that we don't get association in Pakistan, the WAPU association, actually, for all obvious reasons. But on contrary to the popular perception, the devotional, like the environment there is very much galvanized actually because of so many preaching programs being there. And a couple of temples are also coming up, ISKCON's own temples. And as you can see, these are mostly like, as at present here, like almost all of them are girls, but there's many boys also. I don't know, like many of them have got exams, but this is like the university preaching is really catching up. Most of these devotees sitting here are medical students, like doctors, like I mean, would be doctors, and so I'm desperately, Prabhuji, seeking this help from devotees if you want to visit Pakistan. I mean, contrary to what people generally have this impression, it's a tremendous place. When I went last year, very hospitable, and lots of opportunities for preaching, and lots of devotees who understand English also. Uh, and apart from that, See, like we are trying to do this grassroots level preaching and trying to bring up devotees, but then we can only do so much, and we are seeking like really devotees, like highly qualified devotees like you to be there. It's like more than 10 years, hardly any GBC have ever like made it a priority to visit there. Hardly you get any sannyasis. These devotees sitting over here, the couple of them are of course initiated, but others may have not have even seen what like like what appears to be a Diksha Guru or like a proper disciple. It's many of them, they're like they met Anuttama Prabhu for the very first time in their life, Garud Prabhu for the very first time in their life. So it's like that, and that's also online. So we are like with our folded hands, we are requesting Prabhuji, if you can like find any your schedule is very much packed, but not obviously like maybe another 1 year or so. If you can, we are inviting you, Prabhuji, desperately. Like if you can take out your time, maybe 1 week, whatever you can bring, and then you can have proper courses. This devotees require, just like this Prabhupada Founder Acharya course or the Vaishnav culture course. If a person like you go and do that, so that foundation will be far more effective and solid.
How can I refuse the requests of a devotee like Bhima Prasad?
Make all arrangement.
Yeah, well, probably it's probably a little easier for me because I have Australian passport, so probably it's not a little easier than a Indian. So yeah, let's do it.
Very easy.
Yeah, let's
So
do
these
it.
are arrangement.
Okay. Yeah, why not? I'd love to. It'd be great. I'm sure that Mahaprabhu will bestow mercy upon me if I was to undertake such a project.
So very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we wish you all the best with your subsequent studies of Bhakti Sastri, and yeah, I have a desire to come and visit sometime, do some courses. That'd be great. I look forward to it. We'll meet again. Krishna Bhakti Love Ho. Okay, over and out. Hare Krishna.
All the Krishna. All grace to Srila Prabhupada. चलो लग गई लॉटरी पैक, कोई अभी तक कोई नहीं माना था एक बार के लिए। आज आधे से भी
करने वाले आप है ना सामने से, बस क्या करें, हमारे बारे में सोचने वाले आप है ना।
नहीं, सब बेकार की बात है, जो काम की बात है ना। आज आधे से भी कम डिवोटीज थे। मैं सिर्फ ये सोच रहा था प्रभु क्या सोच रहे होंगे, ये लाइक सिर्फ लाइक ऑल गर्ल्स प्रोग्राम में जाते ना, आया था थोड़ी देर के लिए एंड देन ही लेफ्ट। एंड ऑब्वियसली आज एग्जाम्स है, प्लस काफी सारे डिवोटीज जो हैं नानकाना साहेब, पंजा साहेब, करतारपुर हैं, सो दैट लाइक आई अंडरस्टैंड दैट, बट इट्स जस्ट वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट। सी क्वेश्चंस नहीं होंगे तो 3 दिन का था ना, प्रभु जी ने 2 दिन में निपटा के चले गए। And that's how he is. If he doesn't find questions, off he will go. He is totally, that's his teaching style. मैं आखिरी 15 साल में मैंने जो सीखा majority प्रभु से सीखा है. So I know him. Don't get questions, निकल प्रभु नहीं रुकेंगे। और ऐसा भी आप कुछ भी नहीं बोल सकते कि एक लेसन प्लान का एक क्वेश्चन मिस किया, सब कर दिया। मैं आपके सामने लेसन प्लान खोल देता हूँ, आप देख के देखो कि एक भी रिपीट टॉपिक छोड़, सब टॉपिक कर दिया। That's his expertise. He knows like how to. ये कोर्स इन्होंने बनाया है। ये जो जितने भी आते हैं ना आपको पढ़ाते हैं, चाहे वो चंद्रशेखर आचार्य आए, चाहे वो प्रभुपाद प्रिया, मैं कोई भी बंदा आ रहा है जो आपको पूरा यूनिट पढ़ा रहा है, वो लेसन प्लान इन्हीं का लिखा हुआ है। एज क्रेडिट बाय अतुल कृष्ण प्रभु। पूरी दुनिया में जो भी लेसन प्लान चलते हैं इन्हीं का। किसी को जरूरत है ना फिर बनाने की, जब एक बन चुका है तो सब लोग वही फॉलो करते हैं, बस किसी को कोई इतना हेडेक नहीं लेता। मैं तो मतलब अगर आप तो मैं अब बात करूंगा, देखूंगा। इनको बुलाना आसान काम इसलिए नहीं कि ये नहीं जा सकते, और फिर वहां पाकिस्तान में सेटिंग करनी पड़ेगी, कब जाएंगे, कहाँ जाएंगे, ये है। एंड देन फिर आप लोग उस टाइम पे अवेलेबल हो नहीं हो, क्योंकि जो सच बात है, मैं ऑन रिकॉर्ड में बोल रहा हूँ, मुझे किसी का डर नहीं पड़ा हुआ, क्योंकि दैट्स व्हाट द फैक्ट इज ऑल अबाउट। तो होता क्या है, जैसे इस तरह का कोई क्या कहते हैं बंदा आता है, वो सारे मेंढक जो है ना वो अपने अपने क्या कहते हैं बिलों में से निकल के और मोर की तरह नाचते हुए पहुंच जाते हैं वहां। ठीक है, हमारी शक्ल देखो, हमारी शक्ल देखो। एंड फिर उसके बाद वो शुरू हो जाए, फिर बोलते हैं जी उर्दू में चाहिए, फलां चाहिए, जाओ ना यार, नहीं नहीं हो सकता उर्दू में, जाओ अपना बना के लाओ, उसके बाद लेके आओ। इट्स जस्ट एज सिंपल एज दैट। लाइक आप किसी के भी जगह पे जाते हैं, मतलब आप यूएस जाते हैं, वहां जाके बोलते हैं जाके कि उर्दू में सिंधी में करके लाओ। तो कोई आप किसी को इनवाइट कर रहे हो तो यू हैव टू कम अप टू दैट स्टैंडर्ड, से वो उस तरफ से, तो इस वजह से ये प्रॉब्लम आती है। मगर जो आप जैसे जो डिवोटीज होते हैं वो मारे जाते हैं खाम का इस चक्कर में, इस शोबाजी के चक्कर में। इनको वहां पे ले जाओ, वहां पे जाके माला पहनाओ। इज नॉट ए पर्सन लाइक दैट। ही हैज हिज ड्यूटीज, ही हैज हिज शेड्यूल, वो बिल्कुल छेड़ते नहीं है। एवरी डे, ब्लेसड डे, ही विल डू इज हाफ एन आवर, 1 hour योगा, ऑल ऑफ दैट इज वेरी, इज लाइक ए योगी। सो आई एम जस्ट थिंकिंग कि इफ ही कैन कम, एंड वो जो इफेक्ट पड़ेगा, हफ्ते के लिए भी आ जाए, एक कोर्स आप लोगों को दे जाए, वो सारी जिंदगी के लिए आप लोग का टर्निंग पॉइंट। सो एनीवे, अब कल आप लोग मुझे बताइए कल क्या करना है। क्योंकि आप लोगों का बचा हुआ है तो सारा कुछ, आई थिंक
प्रभु
रसाल
जी,
में उन्होंने
इसकी को जो आज
चैप्टर
वाली
नंबर
क्लास
7।
थी ना, उसको
कम अगेन।
रिपीट करना है। जो आज
किसको?
वाली क्लास थी उसको, आज वाली जो सारी क्लास थी उसको फिर से
अच्छा।
रिपीट करना है, क्योंकि
हाँ, वो तो मैं रिपीट कर दूंगा। अब माता जी मुझे ये बता दीजिए, चैप्टर नंबर 9 से लेके चैप्टर नंबर 14 तक कौन पढ़ाएगा?
वो तो आप देखेंगे ना प्रभु जी, हम थोड़ी ना
हाँ, तो
देखेंगे।
वो भी मैं देखूंगा और ये भी मैं देखूंगा, मैं तो सब कुछ ही देख रहा
आप पढ़
हूँ।
अच्छा प्रभु जी, क्वेश्चंस के लिए मुझे ये बोलना था,
आई
जैसे कि ना आपने बोला ना कि क्वेश्चंस कोई नहीं कर रहा था, तो वो मुझे ऐसा लग रहा था कि क्वेश्चन सभी पूछना चाह रहे होंगे, लेकिन वो पूछते हुए थोड़ी कंफ्यूजन भी हो रही है, शायद इसलिए
मैं
कोई
बता देता
नहीं
हूँ
पूछ
मैं
रहा।
बता देता हूँ कि क्वेश्चंस नहीं पूछ सकते इस क्लास में। इस क्लास में आप इसलिए क्वेश्चंस नहीं पढ़ सकते, जब तक किसी ने कोई पढ़ के नहीं आया है, तो एक भी क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ पाएगा। ये आपकी भागवत गीता की क्या कहते हैं इवनिंग क्लास नहीं हो रही ना, जो क्या कहते हैं मंदिर में होती है, बैठ जाए कोई भी हाथ खड़ा कर ले, कोई भी बकवास करना शुरू कर दे। स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन है ना, सीधा भाव। सब बड़े पाकिस्तान में तो वैसे भी कोई भाव भक्त प्रेम भक्तियों की कमी नहीं है, शुरुआत ही वहीं से होती है। अब जब पहली बार करिकुलम पढ़ा है ना भाव भक्त प्रेम भक्त का, बस सबके मुंह पे टेप लग गया। तो वो इसीलिए ना, तो वो क्योंकि जब डेफिनेशन आता है ना, भाव भक्ति प्रेम भक्ति दरअसल किस चिड़िया का नाम है, तब बिल्कुल सर के ऊपर से मैं तो देख रहा था ना, शक्लें मैं देख रहा था। इट्स जस्ट सब लोग वेट कर रहे हैं, एक स्लाइड हुआ, अगला स्लाइड आया, कोई पढ़ सकता है तो हाथ खड़ा कर दिया, जी जी ठीक है, मैंने पढ़ दिया और बस। क्योंकि उतना ही बड़ा है, वो किताब खोली नहीं है ना, तो वो ये टॉपिक ऐसा है, बगैर किताब खोले वो कुछ समझ नहीं आएगा। तो इसीलिए जो प्रभु जी बात बात जो बात कर रहे थे कि ये ऐसा होता है, ये ऐसा होता है, रूप गोस्वामी ने वो नहीं किया, ये क्यों किया। वो तो वो सारा जो आप लोग वहां पे देखते हैं वो हिंदुस्तान पाकिस्तान में, वो नौटंकी के अलावा तो कभी देखा नहीं ना। भागवत तो भागवत अब वो बता रहे हैं ना, भागवत का जो मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशन, अगर आप भागवत गीता के हिसाब से जाओ, भाड़ में जाए बाकी सारी चीजें। भागवत गीता के हिसाब से अगर मैं आपको अभी एक बस बात करके मैं खत्म कर देता हूँ, तो आपको पता चलेगा टॉपिक क्या है ये। अब मान लें कि अब मेरा खुद का कल सुबह भागवतम क्लास है, मैं ये करूं क्या करूं ये कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा, बट एनीवे मैं जस्ट एक श्लोक ले लेता हूँ भागवत गीता का और आपके सामने खोल देता हूँ उसको मैथमेटिकल तरीके से। ठीक है। मनुष्याणाम सहस्रेषु, ये श्लोक सुना है किसी ने? मनुष्याणाम सहस्रेषु कश्चित यतति सिद्ध। एक मिनट में बल्कि एक काम करता हूँ, इसको भी खोल देता हूँ भागवत गीता का। एक सेकंड। या 7th चैप्टर में आएगा, जैसे आपका शुरू होगा तो 7th चैप्टर का 3rd वर्स है। मोस्ट प्रोबेबली ये श्लोक आप लोग को शायद याद भी करना होगा, ध्यान नहीं मुझे ये आप लोगों का मेमोरी वर्स है कि नहीं है, बट लेट मी शो यू दिस। इसी को मैथमेटिकली देख लेते तब हम बात करेंगे कि ये बात ये क्यों ऐसा है। दोबारा वही स्क्रीन खोल दिया मैंने, एक सेकंड टू ओपन दिस स्क्रीन। या उसी भागवत गीता 7:3 है। तभी प्रभु ने पूछा ना, प्रभु को पता लग गया, वो बात करते ही पता लग गया प्रभु को कि इनकी भागवत गीता आगे नहीं पढ़ाई गई है। फट से पकड़ लिया एंड घुमा कैसे दिया। वो प्रभु का स्टाइल है। ठीक है ना। ये है श्लोक, मनुष्यानाम सहस्रेषु कश्चित यतति सिद्ध। इसका ट्रांसलेशन देख लेते हैं। कश्चित यतताम अपि सिद्धानम कश्चित माम व्यक्ति तत्व। इसको अब समझे, देखिए, आउट ऑफ मेनी थाउजेंड्स ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, ठीक है, मैं इसको संस्कृत के हिसाब से चलता हूँ और मैथमेटिकली दिखाता जाता हूँ। मनुष्यानाम सहस्रेषु, सहस्र का मतलब थाउजेंड्स, ठीक है ना। तो थाउजेंड्स का जो रेंज है, अच्छा मैं श्लोक को ना कॉपी कर देता हूँ ताकि वो एक ही जगह पे मैं आपको दोनों चीजें दिखा सकता हूँ। एक सेकंड। ये टॉपिक वो टॉपिक है एक्चुअली जो बात हो रही थी। ये यहाँ पर जो ऐसे आते हैं ना, आप इसकी एक एक्सप्लेनेशन देखने के बाद आगे से आप लोग कभी भी किसी के चक्कर में नहीं पड़ोगे। ये जो आते हैं ना दो दो टके के, भक्ति मनुष्यानाम सहस्र, एक सेकंड इसको बलराम, मनुष्यानाम सहस्र, इसका मतलब है आदमियों के अंदर हजारों में से एक, ठीक है। तो ये रेंज है 1,000 से लेके 99,000 तक, ठीक है। इनमें से कोई एक, ठीक है, कश्चित यतति सिद्ध है, ये सिद्ध बनता है, ये सिद्ध बनता है, सिद्ध, सिद्ध मीन्स जो इस भक्ति के रास्ते में आ रहा है, ठीक है। यानी इसको आप कह सकते हैं इंट्रोड्यूस टू भक्ति। ओके, आप क्या कह रहे हैं, यतताम अपि सिद्ध्यानाम, यानी कि यही जो काउंट था, इसी काउंट में से कोई एक कश्चिम माम व्यक्ति तत्वतः, ये गेट्स टू नो मी। अब इसका मतलब मैथमेटिकल इक्वेशन क्या है, 99,000 इंटू या 1,000 1,000 में कर लेते हैं, तो ज्यादा नहीं चलते, तो ऐसा कर लेते हैं, ठीक है। इसमें से एक होगा जो भगवान को जान पाएगा। जो जान पाने वाले को कौन क्या कहते हैं, जिसको जान पाने का मतलब कोई प्रेम नहीं है, जान पाने का मतलब है ही इज माध्यम अधिकारी व्यक्ति, ओके, ये माध्यम अधिकारी, ठीक है। ये टर्म आपने सुना है, अब कम से कम एनओआई के बदौलत पता है क्या है, ठीक है। चलो अब आपको एक इस कैलकुलेशन का याद रखना, रखने की भी जरूरत नहीं है, मैं आपको दिखा, ये एक मिनट, यहाँ पे गलत जीरो लगा, तीन 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 6 जीरो होंगे, right? 3 जीरो ऊपर 3 जीरो नीचे, ठीक है ना, 3 ऊपर 3 नीचे, ओके। सो यानी कि 10 लाख में से एक का रेशियो है, ठीक है ना। अच्छा, आप आपके, अब मैं आपको एक रियलिस्टिक एनालिसिस दिखा देता हूँ। आप चलते हैं और POPU population of वाई पाकिस्तान, चल, हाँ, अच्छा, अब आपको मुझे लेके जाना है स्क्रीन पे, राइट। अरे रिज्यूम करो, बंद क्यों कर दिया इसको, चले दो, ओके, स्क्रीन 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 शेयर, बस ये कैलकुलेशन देख के जाओ, काफी है, और कुछ नहीं चाहिए अभी आपको, ठीक है। पॉपुलेशन है एस्टिमेट हैदराबाद, ठीक है ना। मिनिमम मिनिमम मीन मीडियन में मिनिमम ये है। अब आप चेक कर लो पूरा हैदराबाद है तो दिमाग लगा लो, दो ही ऐसे मैक्सिमम डिवोटीज होंगे अप्रोक्सीमेटली वहां पर, जिसको आप कुछ कह सकते हो, जिसका कोई क्लास होगा, कोई कैलिबर होगा, नहीं है ना। टॉस कर लो दोबारा, क्या चाहिए, कराची चाहिए, आ जाओ। चलो सही। कितना है? 18.1 मिलियन है ना? इतने भी नहीं है वहां, इतने भी नहीं है। क्यों नहीं है? क्योंकि मैक्सिमम मीडियन कहाँ जाएगा? कहाँ गया शेयर? वापस जाना है मुझे यहाँ। ये मिनिमम था ना? अब यही अगर इसको आप मैक्सिमम, इसके मिनिमम रेंज पे ही है। मैक्सिमम रेंज पे क्या है? चलो 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8। ऐसा कर लो, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8। इस रेंज के अंदर पड़ेगा। सामने है भगवत गीता। इट्स सो मैथमेटिकल। आज के बाद कोई बोल रहा हो ना आपको, आके उछल रहा हो वहां पे भाव भक्त मिल गए हमें, है ना? वैसे भी सिंधियों का जनरल जो वो होता है, डिक्शन कैसा होता है? फोन उठाते हैं, कहते हैं और है ना साईं, क्या क्या क्या, आनंद में, आनंद में, आनंद में। 3 गुणों के अंदर बैठा हुआ आदमी आनंद में भी होता है, तो जाहिर ही बात है शराब ही पी रखी होगी उसने फिर, तभी आनंद में हो सकता है, होश में तो हो नहीं सकता आनंद में। सो इट्स लाइक दैट, जहां बंदा खुशी को तरसता है वहां ये आनंद ढूंढ रहे हैं। कैसे है प्रभु जी, आनंद में? कैसे आनंद में? क्या जवाब दे बंदा है? ठीक है। सो दैट इज एक्चुअली, इट्स लाइक, तो दो जो सब्जेक्ट चल रहा था, दैट वाज अबाउट दैट भाव भक्ति। मध्यम से उत्तम पे दे विल अंडरस्टैंड, दे विल कम टू देन, बट द पॉइंट इज, ये आप देखोगे ये बढ़ता जाएगा। जितना आप लोग घुसते जाओगे उतना बढ़ता जाएगा। इट्स अ फैक्ट। जितना घुसते जाओगे उतना बढ़ता जाएगा। जस्ट बी लाइक, या मैं कल मुझे लगता है, क्योंकि आई वुड बी रिक्वायरिंग 4 days, 7 चैप्टर कवर कराने, अगर अगर मैं इसको छोड़ भी दूं, 15 16 17 18 19, 5 चैप्टर कवर कराया प्रभु ने 2 दिन के अंदर। तो अगर मैं इसको छोड़ भी दूं, स्टिल इट इज, बिकॉज यू डिडंट आस्क एनी क्वेश्चंस। कल 1.5 घंटे में खत्म हो गया था। यू डोंट आस्क एनी क्वेश्चंस, इज नॉट गोइंग टू सिट बैक एंड रैम्बल। Just like that, आज भी उन्होंने भाव भक्ति प्रेम भक्ति दोनों चैप्टर्स ऐसे खत्म किए, 1.5 घंटे में खत्म हो गया। There were 3 chapters he covered today actually. Chapter number 17, 18, 19. कल he covered chapter number 15 and 16. So अगर कल चैप्टर, मेरे ख्याल से रसाल प्रभु ने चैप्टर 7 तक किया था कवर कि 8 तक किया था कवर, किसको याद है?
प्रभु, रसाल प्रभु ने जो है वो जो 64 लिम्स ऑफ भक्ति का चैप्टर शुरू हुआ था ना,
हाँ।
जिसमें चैप्टर 6 और 7 उन्होंने प्रेजेंटेशन दी थी। मतलब उन्होंने खुद उन्होंने कवर करवाए थे
बच्चों ने
मेन
दी थी,
पॉइंट्स।
ठीक है ठीक है
हाँ,
ठीक है
बस ये था।
ठीक है।
उसमें चैप्टर 8 नहीं किया था क्योंकि वो ऑफेंसेस पे था।
ऑफेंसेस
एंड
पे था।
देन चैप्टर 9, यस, तो ऐसे था।
चैप्टर 9 हुआ था।
चैप्टर 9 का पार्ट 1, जस्ट पार्ट 1,
ओके ओके,
दैट
चैप्टर 9 हुआ
ब्लेस्फीमिंग,
था।
दैट्स, हाँ।
ओके, इसका मतलब 10 11 12 13 14, 5 चैप्टर्स तो यही है, और 9 को भी अगर मैं ले लेता हूँ तो 6 चैप्टर, अगर मैं 8 को ले लेता हूँ तो 7 चैप्टर्स है। तो 7 चैप्टर्स आई हैव गॉट 3 + 1 4 days। ओके राइट, सो देन लेट्स गो बैक टू चैप्टर नंबर 8 कल से। एंड ठीक है, राइट, थैंक यू, हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू फॉर, थैंक्स फॉर पार्टिसिपेशन। हरे कृष्णा
प्रभु जी,
अपना।
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.